Globalization is a widely discussed topic. It is therefore not all that easy to explain such a complicated term in simple words. Let's start from the beginning with the background to globalization. Advances in technology, such as mobile phones, aeroplanes, telephones, and the Internet, have made the growth of transport and communication networks possible. Amongst other things, this means that people and countries can exchange information and goods more quickly and in a less complicated way. This process is called globalization. Globalization comes from globe and means the worldwide coming together of countries and nations. Let's look at an example. Companies used to manufacture products in their home countries, just like the companies Profi TV and Supercolor, who produce televisions in country A. Their products are in direct competition with each other, but both companies pay the same salaries and production costs. They have the same customers, use similar suppliers, and sell televisions at similar prices. In short, the same conditions apply to both companies. So far, so good. Due to technical, cultural, and economic developments that have come about through globalization, other companies which manufacture products under different conditions can now offer their products in country A too. That's why a company from country B can sell televisions here at a lower price because they were produced for less. The local firms Supercolor and Profi TV have to react to withstand the competition. And so the world grows closer together, and there is an active exchange of goods between countries. More affordable products are available for more people. However, not only does an exchange of products and economic goods take place, but also of services, knowledge, cultural goods, and even languages. All of these individual elements are closely linked and influence each other. But where there is light, there is also shadow. Because of globalization and this intense exchange of goods, people and the environment often suffer. If a company decides to move production to an economically disadvantaged country, people in industrialized countries lose their jobs. At the same time, job opportunities open up to many locals in the economically disadvantaged country. Many people in these countries work for very little money in comparison to those in industrialized countries. Therefore, they often remain poor and more often than not do not have sufficient insurance, social insurance, or health insurance cover. A further disadvantage of globalization is ecological problems such as climate change. The use of aeroplanes, ships, and lorries to transport goods over international borders is constantly on the increase. This causes more carbon dioxide to be released into the atmosphere, which, in turn, is the main cause of global warming. Even national environmental standards are ignored. This is a further cost factor in the worldwide international site competition, which should be kept as low as possible to be attractive for a company. There are therefore many sides to globalization which affect almost all aspects of life, causing me to think that the chain of positive and negative effects will continue to grow further. What's important is to realize that globalization itself is neither good nor bad. It just depends how people deal with all the new possibilities in the future.
Heard the phrase economic globalization? Come on, let's talk about it. Economic globalization refers to the increasing interconnectedness and integration of national economies around the world. It is a process that involves the free flow of goods, services, capital, and information across borders. Furthermore, economic globalization is driven by advancements in technology, transportation, and communication, which have made it easier for businesses to operate globally. One of the key aspects of economic globalization is the expansion of international trade, in which countries export goods and services they specialize in and import those that they lack or are more efficiently produced elsewhere. As a result, it allows for the exchange of resources, promotes economic efficiency, and leads to the growth of global markets.
Before we dig deeper into knowing what global market integration is, and all of the necessary information we have to learn about it, let us first know what integration means. According to Ulrich Kuster, integration is a state of affairs or a process involving attempts to combine separate national economies into larger economic regions. Market integration, on the other hand, is a process which refers to the expansion of firms by consolidating additional marketing functions and activities under a single management. Global market integration occurs when prices among different locations or related goods follow similar patterns over a long period of time. According to the Cambridge Business English Dictionary, market integration is a situation in which separate markets for the same product become one single market. The market is said to be integrated when the group of prices often more proportionally to each other that is clear among different markets. Thus, global market integration is an indicator that explains how much different markets are related to each other.
Imagine a world where goods flow seamlessly across borders, where businesses compete on a global scale, and where culture intertwine through the exchange of ideas and products. In today's interconnected world, the global economy is no longer a collection of isolated markets. It's a complex web, a dynamic system where goods, services, and a capital flow freely across borders. This is a market integration, a phenomenon driven by globalization. Several key factors have fueled this integration. The technology advancement, faster communication, cheaper transportation, and the internet have dramatically reduced the cost and the time of international trade. The internet, in particular, has created a truly global marketplace. Reduced trade barriers, agreements like those facilitated by the World Trade Organization or WTO, have lowered tariff and quotas, making it easier for goods and services to cross borders. Increase foreign direct investment. Multinational corporations are investing heavily in countries around the world, building factories, creating jobs, and fostering greater economics independence. Next, deregulation and liberalization. Many countries have opened their markets, reducing regulation and encouraging competition.
Market integration, also known as economic integration, refers to the process by which separate markets merge to a single, unified market. This can be occur through various means, including the reductions of barriers, the harmonization of regulation, and the increase of flow of capital labor. The impacts are multifaceted and far-reaching, affecting various aspects of economies and societies. First is economic growth. So, economic growth, market integration typically leads to increased trade and investment. This expansion boasts of economic growth by allowing count- countries to specialize in producing goods and services where they have a comparative advantage. An increase of efficiency and productivity further fuel economic expansion. For example, the integration of European Union has fostered significant economic growth among member of states through increased trade and cross-border investments. Increase of competition. The merging of markets intensifies competitions. Businesses face pressure to offer a better products, lower prices, and improve efficiency to remain competitive. This benefits consumers who enjoy a wider variety of goods and services at more affordable prices. And so the rise of e-commerce platforms is prime example, increasing competition across the geographical boundaries. So job creation and income inequality. While market integration generally creates jobs, it's not without its downsides. Some industries may struggle to compete with foreign firms, resulting in job losses. This often leads to income inequality, as the benefits of integration may not be evenly distributed across the population. For instance, the shift of automation in manufacturing, driven partly by local competition, has resulted in job losses in certain sectors while simultaneously creating a new jobs in technology. So let's move on cultural exchange. The increase of interaction between may struggle to compete with foreign firms, resulting in job losses. This often leads to income inequality, as the benefits of integration may not be evenly distributed across the population. For instance, the shift of automation in manufacturing, driven partly by local competition, has resulted in job losses in certain sectors while simultaneously creating a new jobs in technology. So let's move on cultural exchange. The increase of interaction between different cultures facilitated by market integration leads to a cultural exchange. This can be enrich societies through exposure to diverse cuisines, musics, and art and ideas. However, concern about cultural homogenization exists, as dominant cultures may overshadow or even displace local traditions. So the spread of Hollywood films globally is an example of this duality. While it introduces new forms of entertainment, it also raises concern about the dominance of a single cultural narrative. So, lastly is environmental concerns. The increase of production and consumption associated with the market integration often put a strain on the environment. Higher levels of pollution, resource depletions, and environmental degradations are potential consequences if sustainability measures are not implemented. For example, the rapid industrialization in many developing countries, driven by increased global trade, has contributed significantly to air and water pollution. It can be considered the impact of North American free trade on Mexico. While the North American Free Trade Agreement led to increased economic growth and job creation in some sectors, it also resulted in job losses in certain industries.
Despite the benefits of market integration,
the challenge also exists. Economic volatility,
income inequality,
loss of sovereignty, protectionism.
Market integration is a defining feature of our global economy, offering immense opportunities but also presenting significant challenges. And addressing these challenges requires collaboration between governments, businesses, and international organizations to ensure that the benefits of the globalization are shared more equitably and sustainably. Because the future of our economy depends on that.
International trade refers to the exchange of goods, services, and capital across international borders or territories. It is a fundamental pillar of globalization, enabling countries to access resources, products, and services that may not be readily available within their borders. This trade operates within a complex framework of policies, agreements, and logistical systems, making it a dynamic yet highly regulated field. At its core, international trade encompasses two primary activities: exports, which involve selling goods and services to other countries, and imports, which entail purchasing them from foreign markets. These transactions are influenced by trade agreements, tariffs, customs regulations, and currency exchange systems, creating an interconnected network of global commerce. The scope of international trade is extensive, covering physical goods, such as raw materials, machinery, electronics, and agricultural products, as well as intangible services like financial consulting, technology solutions, and tourism. Additionally, it includes the cross-border movement of capital and investment, enabling businesses to establish operations globally, and the trade of intellectual property, such as patents, copyrights, and software. Underpinning this vast scope are the mechanisms that facilitate trade, including logistics networks, transportation systems, banking infrastructure, and trade finance solutions, all of which ensure the smooth flow of goods and services across nations. International trade plays a pivotal role in driving economic growth, fostering innovation, and enhancing international cooperation. It allows countries to specialize in the production of goods and services in which they hold a comparative advantage, leading to increased efficiency and higher output. Export revenues contribute significantly to a nation's GDP and create employment opportunities in export-oriented industries, while imports enable countries to acquire resources and products not available domestically. Moreover, trade expands consumer choices, providing access to a broader range of goods and services, often at more competitive prices, which enhances overall living standards. The importance of international trade also lies in its ability to drive technological transfer and innovation. Cross-border trade facilitates the exchange of knowledge, skills, and advanced technologies, enabling countries and businesses to improve productivity and adopt best practices. Additionally, trade fosters economic interdependence among nations, reducing the likelihood of conflict and encouraging global stability through cooperative economic relationships. For companies, international markets offer opportunities to diversify their customer base, reducing risks associated with reliance on domestic markets, especially during economic downturns. Despite its many benefits, international trade presents significant challenges that must be effectively managed. Trade barriers such as tariffs, quotas, and non-tariff measures can increase costs and restrict the flow of goods and services. Currency fluctuations pose another obstacle, as exchange rate volatility can affect the profitability of international transactions. Furthermore, navigating the complex web of regulations, customs procedures, and compliance requirements in different countries can be time-consuming and costly. Political and geopolitical risks, such as trade wars, sanctions, and unstable political climates, also threaten to disrupt global trade flows. Additionally, the environmental impact of increased transportation and production necessitates a focus on sustainable trade practices to mitigate harm to the planet. International trade is essential for fostering global economic growth and development. It allows countries to leverage their strengths, access critical resources, and drive innovation, all while contributing to improved living standards and international collaboration. While challenges such as regulatory complexities and market volatility persist, they can be mitigated through effective policies, robust trade agreements, and advancements in technology. As globalization continues to evolve, international trade remains a vital component of interconnected economies, driving progress, prosperity, and stability worldwide. Exports and imports are two foundational components of international trade, serving as the primary mechanisms by which goods, services, and capital flow across borders. While exports involve the sale of goods and services produced within a country to foreign markets, imports refer to the purchase of goods and services from other nations for domestic consumption. These two activities are intrinsically linked, creating an interconnected global economy where countries depend on one another for resources, products, and expertise. Together, exports and imports not only drive economic growth, but also shape the dynamics of global trade. Exports play a crucial role in boosting a country's economy by generating revenue and increasing national income. By selling goods and services abroad, domestic producers can access larger and more diverse markets, often achieving economies of scale and higher profitability. Exporting also fosters innovation and competitiveness as businesses strive to meet international standards and consumer expectations. Moreover, successful export industries create jobs, support ancillary sectors such as logistics and finance, and contribute to a favorable balance of trade, which strengthens a nation's currency and global economic standing. On the other hand, imports allow countries to access resources and products that may be scarce or unavailable domestically. Whether it is raw materials like oil and minerals, advanced technology, or consumer goods, imports help meet domestic demand and ensure a steady supply of essential items. In addition, importing high-quality or cost-effective goods can lower production costs for businesses and provide consumers with more choices at competitive prices. Imports also play a role in encouraging domestic industries to improve efficiency and innovation to remain competitive in the global market. The relationship between exports and imports is reflected in a country's trade balance, which measures the difference between the value of its exports and imports over a specific period. A positive trade balance, known as a trade surplus, occurs when a country exports more than it imports. This is generally seen as favorable because it indicates that the nation is earning more from foreign markets than it spends on foreign goods and services. Conversely, a negative trade balance or trade deficit arises when imports exceed exports. While trade deficits are often viewed as unfavorable, they can also signal robust domestic demand and the availability of diverse goods and services. Exports and imports are also influenced by various factors, including a country's natural resources, industrial capabilities, trade policies, and exchange rates. For instance, nations rich in specific resources, such as crude oil in Saudi Arabia or coffee in Brazil, often dominate global exports in those categories. Similarly, countries with advanced manufacturing capabilities like Germany or China export a wide range of industrial and consumer products. Exchange rates play a critical role as well, with currency fluctuations impacting the cost of imports, and the competitiveness of exports play a crucial role in boosting a country's economy by generating revenue and increasing national income. By selling goods and services abroad, domestic producers can access larger and more diverse markets, often achieving economies of scale and higher profitability. Exporting also fosters innovation and competitiveness as businesses strive to meet international standards and consumer expectations. Moreover, successful export industries create jobs, support ancillary sectors such as logistics and finance, and contribute to a favorable balance of trade, which strengthens a nation's currency and global economic standing. On the other hand, imports allow countries to access resources and products that may be scarce or unavailable domestically. Whether it is raw materials like oil and minerals, advanced technology, or consumer goods, imports help meet domestic demand and ensure a steady supply of essential items. In addition, importing high-quality or cost-effective goods can lower production costs for businesses and provide consumers with more choices at competitive prices. Imports also play a role in encouraging domestic industries to improve efficiency and innovation to remain competitive in the global market. The relationship between exports and imports is reflected in a country's trade balance, which measures the difference between the value of its exports and imports over a specific period. A positive trade balance, known as a trade surplus, occurs when a country exports more than it imports. This is generally seen as favorable because it indicates that the nation is earning more from foreign markets than it spends on foreign goods and services. Conversely, a negative trade balance or trade deficit arises when imports exceed exports. While trade deficits are often viewed as unfavorable, they can also signal robust domestic demand and the availability of diverse goods and services. Exports and imports are also influenced by various factors, including a country's natural resources, industrial capabilities, trade policies, and exchange rates. For instance, nations rich in specific resources, such as crude oil in Saudi Arabia or coffee in Brazil, often dominate global exports in those categories. Similarly, countries with advanced manufacturing capabilities like Germany or China export a wide range of industrial and consumer products. Exchange rates play a critical role as well, with currency fluctuations impacting the cost of imports and the competitiveness of exports on the global stage. The roles of exports and imports extend beyond economic metrics, influencing diplomatic and cultural relationships between countries. Strong trade ties can foster political alliances and mutual cooperation, as economic interdependence encourages peaceful and stable interactions. Trade also facilitates cultural exchange, introducing new products, ideas, and innovations that enrich societies and create opportunities for collaboration in areas like technology and sustainability. Exports and imports are integral to the functioning of global trade and the growth of national economies. While exports drive revenue, innovation, and job creation, imports provide access to resources, products, and technologies essential for development and consumer satisfaction. Understanding the balance and interplay between these two components is critical for policymakers, businesses, and stakeholders as they navigate the complexities of international trade and strive to maximize its benefits. The export process is a structured sequence of activities that enables businesses to sell their goods and services to foreign markets efficiently and compliantly. From identifying potential markets to shipping goods and receiving payments, each step is crucial to ensuring the success of international transactions. Understanding and executing these steps effectively not only reduces risks, but also maximizes the opportunities that global trade presents. The first step in the export process is identifying potential markets. This involves conducting thorough market research to evaluate demand for the product or service, understanding local consumer preferences, and analyzing economic, political, and regulatory environments. Tools such as trade reports, export data, and online market research platforms can assist in narrowing down target markets with favorable conditions for export. Additionally, companies must consider factors like market size, competition, and growth potential before committing resources to a particular region. Once a target market has been identified, the next step is ensuring product compliance with market requirements. Each country has unique regulations, standards, and certifications that must be met for goods to enter the market legally. This may include meeting health and safety standards, obtaining necessary licenses, or adapting product labeling and packaging to local laws and languages. Failure to comply with these requirements can result in delays, fines, or the rejection of shipments at customs. The third step involves finding and establishing relationships with buyers or distributors. Exporters can connect with potential customers through trade fairs, online marketplaces, business directories, and government-supported trade missions. Negotiating clear terms of sale, including payment methods, delivery timelines, and pricing, is essential to establishing a successful partnership. Contracts should also specify responsibilities, such as who will handle transportation, insurance, and customs clearance. Once a buyer has been secured, exporters must focus on preparing the necessary documentation. Proper export documentation is critical for compliance, customs clearance, and financial transactions. Key documents include the commercial invoice, packing list, certificate of origin, and in some cases, a letter of credit. Exporters may also need to complete customs declarations and provide documentation required by the importing country. With the documentation in place, the exporter moves to arranging logistics and shipping. This step involves selecting the most suitable transportation mode, air, sea, road, or rail, based on factors like cost, urgency, and product characteristics. Freight forwarders or logistics companies can be invaluable in managing the complexities of international shipping, including securing cargo space, ensuring proper packaging, and coordinating with customs authorities. It is also important to purchase appropriate cargo insurance to protect against potential losses or damages during transit. Once the goods are shipped, the exporter must navigate the customs clearance process. Customs officials in both the exporting and importing countries will review the shipment to ensure compliance with all regulations. Providing accurate and expedite this process and avoids delays. At this stage, any duties, tariffs, or taxes due must also be paid either by the exporter or as agreed upon in the contract. The next step is ensuring delivery to the buyer. After the goods clear customs, they are transported to the buyer's location or a designated distribution center. Exporters should maintain communication with the buyer throughout the process to confirm receipt of goods and address any issues promptly. Finally, the exporter must secure payment for the transaction. The payment process depends on the terms agreed upon in the sales contract. Common payment methods include letters of credit, open accounts, advance payments, and documentary collections. It is essential to ensure that all financial transactions are processed securely and that payment terms are adhered to by both parties. The export process involves a series of well-defined steps, from identifying potential markets to receiving payments. Each stage requires careful planning, attention to detail, and adherence to international trade regulations. By understanding and effectively managing these steps, exporters can successfully navigate the complexities of global trade and maximize the benefits of entering international markets. The import process is a systematic sequence of activities that enables businesses to acquire goods and services from foreign suppliers while adhering to regulations and minimizing risks. From selecting suppliers to ensuring compliance with import, regulations, and clearing customs, each step is critical to the smooth execution of international trade transactions. A clear understanding of this process allows businesses to optimize their operations, reduce costs, and maintain compliance with international and domestic laws. The first step in the import process is identifying and selecting reliable suppliers. This involves researching potential suppliers in target countries, evaluating their product quality, pricing, production capacity, and reputation. Online platforms, trade fairs, and government trade agencies are excellent resources for identifying suppliers. Once potential suppliers are shortlisted, due diligence is essential to verify their credibility and ensure they can meet delivery timelines and quality standards. Clear communication is key during this phase to negotiate terms, including payment, shipping, and responsibilities. Once a supplier has been selected, the next step is determining product eligibility and compliance with import regulations. Every country has specific rules governing what can be imported, often influenced by health, safety, environmental, or trade policy concerns. Importers must ensure that the products meet all legal and regulatory requirements, such as certifications, labeling standards, and product testing. For example, importing food products may require compliance with health and sanitary standards, while importing electronics may involve adhering to energy efficiency regulations. The third step involves obtaining necessary permits and licenses. Some goods, such as pharmaceuticals, chemicals, or agricultural products, require special import permits or licenses. These documents must be secured before the shipment is initiated, as failure to do so can lead to penalties, shipment delays, or seizure of goods at customs. Importers should consult their country's customs authority or trade compliance professionals to ensure they have all the required approvals. With regulatory compliance in place, the importer must focus on arranging transportation and insurance. Choosing the most suitable mode of transport, whether by sea, air, road, or rail, depends on the nature of the goods, urgency, and budget. Working with freight forwarders or logistics companies can simplify this process, as they can manage transportation logistics, handle documentation, and provide advice on cost-effective solutions. Additionally, importers should secure cargo insurance to protect against potential losses or damages during transit. Once the shipment is en route, the importer must prepare for clearing customs in the destination country. Customs clearance involves submitting the necessary documentation, such as the commercial invoice, packing list, bill of lading, and certificate of origin. Customs authorities review these documents to verify compliance with import regulations and determine the applicable duties, tariffs, and taxes. Accurate and complete documentation is critical to avoid delays and additional costs during this stage. The next step is paying applicable duties, tariffs, and taxes. Import duties and tariffs are calculated based on the product's classification. Under the harmonized system, HS code and its declared value, importers must ensure that all payments are made promptly to facilitate the release of goods from customs. In some cases, trade agreements or duty-free programs may reduce or eliminate these charges. So it is important to understand the trade policies applicable to the imported goods. After customs clearance, the goods are ready for final delivery to the importer. This involves transporting the goods from the port of entry to the importer's warehouse, distribution center, or retail location. It is essential to inspect the goods upon arrival to ensure they meet the agreed-upon specifications and are free from damage. Any discrepancies should be reported to the supplier or insurance provider immediately. This includes maintaining accurate records of the transaction for regulatory compliance and audits, reconciling payments, and analyzing the import process for potential improvements. Building long-term relationships with reliable suppliers and logistics partners can enhance efficiency and reduce risks in future import operations. The import process involves a series of interconnected steps, from selecting trustworthy suppliers to complying with regulations and clearing customs. Each phase requires meticulous planning, attention to detail, and adherence to both international and domestic trade laws. By mastering these steps, businesses can successfully navigate the complexities of importing goods and services, ensuring timely delivery and cost-effective operations while maintaining compliance. International trade is a cornerstone of global economic development, offering numerous advantages that extend beyond the simple exchange of goods and services. By enabling countries to access a broader range of goods, fostering job creation, and facilitating technological transfer, international trade plays a pivotal role in boosting economic growth, enhancing productivity, and improving living standards worldwide. One of the primary benefits of international trade is access to a broader range of goods and services. Through trade, countries can import products that are not available domestically due to limitations in natural resources, technology, or production capabilities. For example, nations in colder climates can import tropical fruits, while countries lacking energy resources can secure oil and gas from abroad. This exchange allows consumers to enjoy a diverse array of goods, often at more competitive prices, while businesses can source raw materials and components necessary for production. Such access not only satisfies domestic demand, but also drives innovation as companies strive to improve their offerings in response to global competition. Another significant benefit of international trade is its ability to create jobs and stimulate employment opportunities. Export-oriented industries generate demand for skilled and unskilled labor across various sectors, including manufacturing, agriculture, logistics, and technology. The ripple effect of export growth extends to supporting industries such as transportation, warehousing, and finance, further boosting employment. Additionally, by enabling businesses to expand into international markets, trade promotes the creation of new enterprises and entrepreneurial ventures, driving job growth and economic diversification. In many developing countries export-led, growth strategies have proven instrumental in reducing poverty and increasing income levels. International trade also plays a critical role in facilitating technological transfer and innovation. When countries trade, they exchange not only goods and services, but also ideas, skills, and technological advancements. For instance, importing advanced machinery or software allows local industries to improve productivity and adopt state-of-the-art production methods. Similarly, multinational corporations engaged in global trade often introduce innovative technologies and management practices to their host countries. These transfers enhance the technical capacity of domestic industries, leading to long-term economic growth and global competitiveness. Moreover, competition in international markets incentivizes businesses to invest in research and development, further driving innovation. Beyond these direct benefits, international trade fosters economic interdependence and stability. By creating mutually beneficial relationships, trade encourages countries to cooperate economically and politically, reducing the likelihood of conflicts. It also enables nations to diversify their economies, mitigating risks associated with reliance on a single industry or market. This diversification can act as a buffer during economic downturns, helping countries maintain economic stability. In the face of global uncertainties, while the economic benefits of international trade are substantial, they are not without challenges. Trade liberalization can expose domestic industries to foreign competition, potentially leading to job displacement in less competitive sectors. However, these challenges can often be addressed through policies that promote retraining, education, and investment in high-value industries. The net effect of international trade, when managed effectively, is overwhelmingly positive, as it drives growth, innovation, and economic integration. International trade is a powerful driver of economic prosperity, offering access to a wider range of goods, creating jobs, and fostering technological advancements. By participating in global markets, countries can leverage their comparative advantages, improve productivity, and enhance the quality of life for their citizens. As globalization continues to reshape the world economy, the economic benefits of international trade will remain a cornerstone of sustainable development and global cooperation. While international trade brings significant economic benefits, it is not without its challenges. Global trade operations are complex and often hindered by regulatory barriers, cultural differences, and logistical complexities. These challenges demand careful navigation and strategic planning to ensure that businesses can operate effectively across borders while minimizing risks and inefficiencies. One of the most significant challenges in global trade operations is regulatory barriers. Each country has its own set of trade policies, customs regulations, and export restrictions that must be adhered to by businesses operating in international markets. These barriers can include tariffs, quotas, licensing, requirements, and non-tariff measures such as technical standards or sanitary regulations. Navigating these rules can be particularly daunting for small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, that may lack the resources or expertise to manage complex compliance requirements. Furthermore, frequent changes in trade policies, often influenced developments, can add an additional layer of uncertainty for businesses. Another critical challenge is cultural differences, which can significantly impact international business relationships and negotiations. Cultural variations influence communication styles, decision-making processes, and expectations around business practices. For example, while some cultures prioritize direct communication and quick decision-making, others may place greater emphasis on building trust and relationships over time. Misunderstandings arising from cultural differences can lead to breakdowns in negotiations, delays in closing deals, or even lost opportunities. Businesses must invest in cultural awareness and sensitivity training to build strong, lasting partnerships in foreign markets. Logistical complexities are another major hurdle in global trade operations. The process of transporting goods across borders involves multiple stages, from securing transportation and managing warehousing, to clearing customs and ensuring final delivery. Each of these steps is susceptible to disruptions, including delays at customs checkpoints, port congestion, or transportation strikes.
An economy is simply the sum of the transactions that make it up, and a transaction is a very simple thing. You make transactions all the time. Every time you buy something, you create a transaction. Each transaction consists of a buyer exchanging money or credit with a seller for goods, services, or financial assets. That's a transaction. It's the building block of the economic machine. All cycles and all forces in an economy are driven by transactions. So, if we can understand transactions, we can understand the whole economy. A market consists of all the buyers and all the sellers making transactions for the same thing. For example, there is a wheat market, a car market, a stock market, and markets for millions of things. An economy consists of all of the transactions in all of its markets. If you add up the total spending and the total quantity sold in all of the markets, you have everything you need to know to understand the economy. It's just that simple.
Here are the biggest threats to the global economy in 2023. Inflation continues to be a major threat for economies both large and small, as governments battle with out-of-control prices for many essential goods. This can not only make it hard to buy basics like groceries, but it can slow the market in big money industries like housing. Another major problem for the economy is labor shortage and action. Many industries have seen themselves grind to a halt due to strikes, with some risking the disruption of essential infrastructure like railroads. This is linked to another issue, labor shortage, which have caused massive issues in the airline industry. But the biggest threat to the global economy may be war. Right now, Russia's war in Ukraine only directly involves two countries, but has had cascading effects as Russia targets Ukrainian grain exports. If China invades Taiwan, this effect could be seen 100-fold, as exports of Taiwan's incredibly key semiconductor industry could shut down. This would not only affect manufacturing, but even countries' power grids and countless other essential industries, creating a global domino effect.
about money. I'm smoking a Humvee. That's what crazy I did. That's what crazy I did. That's what crazy I did it. That's what crazy I did it. I made it over the means. How much they pay me a million? I'm shoving it there in the charity. Say crazy, I be smacking the ceiling. I call my million my children. I call my children my millions. We taking over the world. We're making hundreds of millions. I need you to listen. I'm a rich man. We touch a lot of millions. Yeah, I don't like Victor. Yeah, I don't like Victor. Yeah, my diamonds glitter. I just put up and they talk without even me. We taking a picture. I had to make me some sense. I had to make me some bills. I had to make me some money. You know that I mean had a man. I cut a million up. Ain't this what he said?
Today I will discuss market integration. Ano ba ang market integration as part of economics globalization? Market integration refers to the process of creating a unified marketplace where goods, services, and capital can flow freely between countries or regions. Ibig sabihin ng market integration ay tumutukoy sa mga proseso kung saan nagkakaisa or di kaya nag-uugnay yung mga merkado or market ng mga iba't ibang bansa. Ibig sabihin din nito ay malaya ang daloy ng serbisyo at ang kapital between the countries or regions. It is a central aspect of economics globalization, which refers to the increasing interconnectedness of economies and society around the world. The economic globalization ay tumutukoy sa patuloy na ugnayan ng mga ekonomiya at lipunan sa buong mundo. Ito ay isang anyo or dimension ng globalization. Market integration can take many forms including the reduction of trade barriers such as tariffs, the adoption of common currency, the harmonization of regulatory standards, and the development of infrastructure to facilitate transportation and communication. Ang sinasabi dito ay siya daw pamamaraan ng market integration ay iyong pagbaba ng taripo sa mga produkto na inaangkat halimbawa ng bansa. Pagkakaroon ng isang pananalapi, isang currency katulad ng euro o dollar halimbawa, at harmonization ng standards o iisa lamang ang sinusunod na standards halimbawa sa quality ng mga produkto. At pati na rin yung pagpapagawa ng mga infrastructure na projects para mapabilis ang transportation at communication sa pagitan ng mga ekonomiya ng iba't ibang bansa. When these measures are implemented, they can help to increase the efficiency of the market by allowing for greater specialization, economies of scale, and increased competition. One of the main benefits of market integration is that allows firms to access a larger pool of customers and suppliers. Ibig sabihin mas lumalawak yung market mo kung saan mo pwedeng ibenta kung ano man iyong produkto na iyong ginagawa. Hindi lang magiging limited ka sa bansa mo pati na rin internationally pwede ka mag-supply or pwede ka mag-export. Market integration can increase their profits and lead to higher levels of economic growth. At the same time market integration can create winners and losers, with some industries and regions benefiting more than others. For example, firms in industries that can compete internationally may thrive in more integrated market. Ibig sabihin kung mas marami kang kapital mas malaki ang tsansa mo na makapag-compete ka or na makapag-trade ka internationally mas malaki market mo. While firms in industries that are not globally competitive may suffer. Probably they are fit enough to expand their market internationally. So, overall market integration is an important aspect of economic globalization, as it can help to increase economic efficiency and promote growth. However, it is important to ensure that the benefits of integration are shared fairly, and that measures are taken to address the negative impacts that can arise for certain industries or regions.
Let's dive into the market system and how it works. Imagine a market as a place where buyers and sellers meet to exchange goods and services. Now, resources are limited, so the market system uses supply and demand to allocate these scarce resources efficiently. When supply equals demand, we have what's called market equilibrium, the ideal balance where everyone's needs are met at the right price. But if demand exceeds supply, prices go up, and if supply exceeds demand, prices drop. This movement of prices helps bring the market back to equilibrium. So, in a market system, prices guide resources to where they're needed most, all without needing direct government intervention. Neat, right?